Good morning. Today I'd like to share with you the background about a great song that we sing, Church in the Wildwood. The author is a gentleman by the name of William S. Pitts. William was engaged to a lady that lived in Fredericksburg, Iowa. He himself at the time lived in Wisconsin, and on one occasion back in the year 1857, he decided to take a trip to see his fiancée, and so on his journey they stopped off at a place called Bradford, Iowa. When he got off the stagecoach, he took a little bit of a stroll, and then as he went over the valley, he looked at the Cedar River. Again, he looked at the valley and he had a vision. He had a vision of a church building that was brown in color. Thinking nothing more, he went on his way to see his fiancée. He arrives back in Wisconsin, but that experience never left him. It haunted him. And so he sat down and he wrote a poem called Church in the Wildwood. Still, there was something that was missing, something that was gnawing away at him. And so then he sat back down, and being a songwriter himself, he wrote the song, the music to it, of Church in the Wildwood. Now, this was in the year 1857. 5 years later, he was then married to his fiancée, turned now his wife. They decided that they would go and visit with her parents, and so they got on the stagecoach. Again, they stopped in Bradford, Iowa. And again, he took the same journey that he had seen before. He took it with his wife. And as they went down, they saw a building that was under construction. And it was, yes, the color brown. And it was going to be a church that was donated by the people that owned the property. And it was to be called Church in the Wildwood. And yes, the color was brown. It was more affordable, so that's what they painted the church building. Well, it took about 2 more years for construction to be completed. So then in the year 1864, they were ready for the church building doors to open, and William S. Pitts was notified about it. And so he went back to Bradford. He got some young people. He taught them the song, and they dedicated that church building with his song, Church in the Wildwood. And so then, years later, the townspeople underwent some economic problems. The church looked like it was going to close, but there were some people that were trying to preserve the church building, and it was a society to preserve the church building. They were trying to raise funds to keep the doors open. It took until 1914 for them to be able to do so. And so William S. Pitts goes back, he rededicates the church building, and then as time goes on, he decided that he wanted to become a medical doctor, and so he sold the rights to the song Church in the Wildwood for $25. And so then he went on to have his studies to become a medical doctor. Then in October of 1932, the Carter family recorded the song, and it was a huge hit for them. And there were some other people that would sing the song, but it never really gained the acclaim of a song that you would want for it to become. Well, I remember as a student at Reeltown High School, we would have a daily devotional where we would read the Bible, and then we would have read songbooks that were passed out, and it was thin. It only had a few songs in it, and one of the songs was none other than Church in the Wildwood, and we sang that many a time. The group Alabama also recorded the song, and the church building is still open. It has the copy of the original lyrics to the songs that they have available for people. They do have a lot of visitors, and there are some people that will actually go through and they will become married husband and wife. And so now you know the history behind the great song, the grand old hymn that we sing, Church in the Wildwood. There's a church in the valley by the wildwood, no lovelier place in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the dale. Oh, come, 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 come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the dale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the dale. How bright on a clear Sunday morning to list to the clear ringing bell. His tones so sweetly are calling, oh, come to the church in the vale. Oh, come, 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 come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the dale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the dale, as the little brown church in the dale. There's a church in the valley by the wildwood, no lovelier place in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the dale.